Wexford, and I've no previous political affiliations or whatever. And thanks to Oliver for starting what to be a very successful movement. As some of the other people mentioned earlier, I think I would be a little concerned that our objectives are a little wishy-washy or whatever, and that we might suffer as a result of that. I think we need to try and develop that a little more clearly. You mentioned in one of your opening slides there that we're of the consensus, and it seems to me that certainly among the public, as we see reflected today, there is a consensus of the need to do something to try and rebuild our political and other cultural systems here in Ireland for the future. But I think we also maybe could try and do something practical that could maybe put pressure on the political system by being clear in our own objectives of the areas where we want to see reform take place. And if we have a national convention and the pledge, it may help us to raise the profile of what we're trying to achieve. But I think one consensus we could possibly explore would be to see, is there a consensus among the political groups already here in Ireland, areas of common agreement. As somebody mentioned earlier, we've seen detailed proposals already from Fine Gael. Labour have dabbled a little, and we've got a lot of publications out there as well. Clinton O'Toole's recent book, Elaine Byrne published some stuff on reform.ie in terms of her 10 suggestions. Maybe what we need to try and do is explore all these suggestions that are out there and maybe try and see, can we find common ground, and then try and push for reform wherever it can be achieved. Thank you.
Yeah, hello, my name's Kevin O'Donnell. I've contributed once or twice on the website. A couple of things, just I think there's a building of consensus, if you want to use that word, about the objectives. You mentioned earlier about reform. Really, what reform are we talking about? I mean, do we have anything concrete? I think we need to probably spend a bit of time thinking about that. And if you're going to do that, you can create a vision. And you talked earlier about having a long term. I think the events that have happened in the last couple of weeks with the High Court decision, the by-elections, the general elections, probably going to be honest in the next couple of months. We're probably looking at maybe 5 years before there's another election beyond that, as one of the other contributors says. So we do have a little bit of time, but I think we should be starting to put some ideas together on that, and pretty strong ideas. This gentleman here said Clinton O'Toole, you've Eddie Malloy, you've a lot of these people are coming up with ideas. We don't even have to create them ourselves. There's some fantastically intelligent people doing this. We just need to pick the ones that really suit the group and float that out there. I also would agree with one of the other contributors back there. I wouldn't be against, in fact I would be quite for running candidates. Now, I think it's probably too early. It's definitely too early for the next general election, but I wouldn't be against it in 5 years' time. I know Fine Gael came up with a new politics document back in June, which has some good things in it, but I'm sure there's going to be some horse trading between themselves and Labour. We may not see a lot of that implemented. The case for change will still probably be there. So I think it's incumbent on us to try and keep this thing moving. And if you do have this thing where you allow candidates to run, you can fight that corruption-based type of scenario where you campaign on an anti-corruption, on integrity, on change. And if you do that, one of the problems I see is that the turkeys won't vote for Christmas. Well, if we get a majority in the Dáil, or we get a serious level in the Dáil in 5 years' time, we can vote for that and say this is a condition of us. And you reduce it down to 100 or whatever the numbers that are eventually arrived at. But with the likes of Enda Kenny is in their 30 years, he's not going to do it. It's not in his blood. So I think we probably need our own people to go and drive that forward. Thank you.
I suppose I could write a book on
maybe you
many
need to speak
books.
a little bit louder. Your voice is a bit lighter. Can you hear me? No. The back?
Okay.
Well, if you turn around,
Stand up and turn around. Do you mind?
I'm kind of shy of this. Trust my eyes. It's just, I suppose, all of the issues that are spoken about here have been with probably most of us, but certainly with me, since I began to know, since my teens really. And the issue has never gone away. It has only got more and more intense. And I think what has led it to be so is the strength of the corporate corporate world that is manipulating everyone, including Obama, everybody, all governments everywhere. It seems impossible to overcome that. All humans on the planet stand isolated. All the power things are up there, and all of the millions of people at the bottom have got just no say in the matter. And if an election does come up, they're given options, within that limited range, and they all tend to be corporate related. Everything depends on money. What I am thinking about is, for instance, a vase. If anybody has come across a vase, it has got a vase does sort of a worldwide thing that looks for people, individual sports, like anyone in this room could belong to a similar system in Ireland that would gather signatures. People log on to this. Right, I suppose for an example, a lady in Iran was being stoned to death for committing adultery according to their authorities. And a vase sent out a thing saying this lady is going to be eliminated tomorrow, and can everybody just sign in? Let's try and get 1 million people to sign. So the 1 million people did sign, and we just haven't heard yet now whether it has succeeded. But what the idea, just the concept is that where all of us are, the only say that we have is in the political thing whenever elections come up every few years. And there's not one politician that has really ever represented my views, the human thing, the people on the earth. So if a system like a vase, I thought, could help to move all of this and gather the people to just give strength and power from the grassroots up to get things changed. That's really the thing I'm trying to say about, and then trying to amalgamate the various different groups insofar as that is at all possible. That's power in numbers. You wouldn't need any more referenda or things if you sort of had this. It's overriding it or getting the people to speak. Just a suggestion.
Hi, my name is Carlo Dooling. I didn't know for anyone for a long time. Oliver's thing, there's 3 things I want to address. 2 of them are together. Oliver said what we don't have is time and money. Now, there's a lot of people here given their time. We're coming a long way in really bad weather, so I don't think that's an issue. And money, Bob Geldof didn't have money, and Downey didn't have money, so they might have been greater causes, but they didn't have money. Just following on from this lady's point, I could program one of those. You type in your email address, and that's you on a petition. You could program one of those in half an hour and put it up on the website. And I used to be, my third point is now the institution that we have now, the Dáil. I used to be a corporation tenant, and for 2 years coming up to an election, every single politician in the area, no matter what party independence, was putting in, on a regular basis, the promise that they'll address the sale of corporation flats to the tenants if they get elected. Now, a few of them, it was a 5-seat constituency, and a few of them got in, and nothing was done about it. So I think if you get them all to sign up a pledge to say they're going to set up an institution as a trump card, they'll all sign it, but it'll mean nothing. But having said that, doing that and organising a concerted campaign to undermine the institutions as it is, I think that's what needs to happen. Because you go to RTE Live, you can see the Dáil proceedings live for every Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. And at most times, even during leaders' question time, there's no more than 10 people in the room. We could program an application where anyone in the room could log on and say, oh, I see 7 people sitting there. They type in the number 7. That's it. It goes up on the website for the world to see. It brings force out the transparency, and not just say, could you please change, make them change, and have organise it, well, not organise, just people do what they can.
Just on what you both said, when I said, you know, we've no power, no money, no influence, I mean individually, but as a group, you know, together we can move as one, we do have great power and we do have great influence and we do have, you know, a great amount of time.